Hello, and thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry Royce, and welcome to Positive Power 21 Network, where you get your positive on. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Positive Power 21.org, Internet Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Positive Power 21. When it's all positive, it's all power. I'm your host, Jerry Royce, and tonight on my show I have an author. Her name is Sharnel Williams. She's the author of a book called A Mother's Worst Nightmare, and she's going to finish the rest of that title because I couldn't read my writing. So, Sharnel, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. And for the sake of the title of your book, can you give my audience the complete title of your book? Because I know they're going to be anxious to get it after this interview.
Okay, it's called A Mother's Worst Nightmare, Read Our Story, Share Our Angels, and it's co-written by author Nicole Martin.
That's right, Nicole. We had Nicole on the show before. She was a fantastic guest, and she's a fascinating woman. She's wearing many hats right now. I know she's helping a young lady out in Arkansas who we had on the show also. She's helping to edit her books. She's reading books, and I guess once your name get out there, and especially authors talk a lot, and that's a good thing because you're talking about it's like the Underground Railroad. You know, the information just be flowing, and next thing you know, you're connecting with people that you otherwise would never have ever met. But through this beautiful world of publishing, just tell us a little bit about your experience. But before we get going, let's get a little bit about your background so our audience know exactly who we're talking to. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about yourself, go ahead.
No, my name is, as you know, Sharnel Williams. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey. I reside in Pennsylvania now, the Pocono area. And my book is mainly about my son passed away from leukemia. So, matter of fact, this is my second book.
Oh.
My first book I wrote called What Do a Mother Do? The Shaquille Williams story. That was really completely based on my son, what he was going through in and out the hospital as, you know, this cancer was taking over his body.
Right. How old was he?
Well, when he passed away, he was 12 years old.
12. Okay, he's a young guy. Okay. Now, how did you and Nicole meet? I mean, what brought you? I know what actually brought you guys together, but how did it happen?
Well, thank God for Facebook.
Oh, wow, it was on Facebook.
Thank God for Facebook because I wanted to, write a book. But I wanted other mothers, like I was seeing on Facebook how mothers was putting up, they lost their child to this, they lost their child to that. And I was like, it'd be good if I can get these mothers together and we all tell our story in a short story, but in a book.
Yes.
And have each individual. We started off with 4 authors. The last author, she had something to do. The other author, it was too much on her. But then me and Nicole, we stuck it through. Yeah, and that's how we came out with A Mother's Worst Nightmare. But I was looking for authors to do this book with us. And I asked a couple of people, we was down. We lost the 2 other authors. But I was like, Nicole, God brought us together for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Just because they left, that don't mean we got to leave. We're going to get this book done. And we met through Facebook. Until this day, I still haven't met Nicole physically.
Get out of here.
We only talked on the phone and we talked through Facebook. That's how we contact each other.
So how many years are you talking about?
Huh?
How many years are you talking about?
Just last year. I just met her through Facebook. She was on my show. She was a guest on my show. That's how I found out about her daughter. And then we became friends on Facebook. And that's how I got in touch with her and asked her, do she want to write a book? It was hard for her. It was hard for her and stuff. But she agreed because, remember, I wrote my first book already. So I already relived what my son went through. And I relived everything all over again already. But this was Nicole's first time.
Yeah.
She had to relive everything all over again.
Yeah. And so she handled it pretty well. Cause we talked,
we talked. We talked. We got through it. We had phone conversations for hours. And the main thing about it is that you don't know what another parent or mother went through unless you lost a child. You could say, oh, okay, you're okay, time's healed, and everything's going to be okay. I feel so sorry for you, blase, blase, blase.
Mm-hmm.
But
you're right.
Me and Nicole had this connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and to make it so bad, I just found out when we wrote the book, her daughter died the same age as my son, 12 years old. Both of them died at the age of 12.
Wow, what a coincidence.
So I was telling Nicole, God brought us together for a reason.
Yes. and it's funny because, we always talk about, the evil and the good, or the good and the bad in anything, like when it comes to medicine and, cars, whatever it is, airplanes, Facebook, the Internet's the same way. I mean, you have people who out there abusing it, but at the same time you have some real connections that are happening every second of the day. Just like me meeting you guys, like I met Renee through her, fascinating woman. Her fiance. We had him on our show talking about relationships and how to treat a woman. So and that's the second part of our program that we do is we trying to bring that connection back. Talking about the good in men and women relationships now, and it was just so fascinating how all this happened through social media.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Now,
so it could be a good thing, and I think it's what you make it.
Yes.
Just like in a relationship, it's what you make it. You understand what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right. You are right. Now, this book, you guys coming together. I mean, I remember her telling me it's a big network of you guys out there too. That's in these groups. She mentioned, I think it was in the hundreds or the thousands of people who come together to try to bring some kind of, I guess, not closure, but I guess you can understand what you went through. Are you part of any groups? Are you part of any groups that's like a physical group, not online, but someplace where you can walk in and you can help somebody else that's just going through it now?
You know what? It's strange because when my son first passed away, like the doctors and stuff, because I had to go see a doctor, not a psychiatrist or my regular doctor, because I, lost a lot of weight and went through, a lot of stuff from losing my son. And she always tried to tell me to go to a support group. I was like, I don't need to talk to nobody. I'm good. She's like, no, Sharnel, you need to talk to other people that done went through what you went through.
That's right.
But I never did that. And then once my book got out, my first book got out, What Do a Mother Do, I wanted to go back to the Leukemia Foundation and talk to people, and tell my story.
Yeah.
But when the lady said it was going to be like 200, because I'm a shy person, I can talk to you over the phone. But face-to-face, that's out.
Get out of here.
That's out face-to-face. And she told me it was going to be over like 200 guesses. She said, Sharnel, you could sell your book, you could talk. And I was like, well, how many people? She was like, it should be like over 200. I said, 200 people? I can't do it. And I backed out. I backed out. But she told me it was a good thing. The lady from the foundation, she said, Sharnel, it's a good thing. Come tell your story. And you can help others.
That's right.
But soon it seemed like my brain froze.
Wow. Now, did she say 200 people are physically at this location for you to talk to?
Yes, because they have a meeting, a support group. And then they was having some type of ceremony that week, and she wanted to get me in here. She said, well, we having a ceremony this day, and you can come. I was like, well, how many people?
Wow.
She was like, just say like 200. I said, 200? It seemed like my brain just froze. Like I got to talk in front of, you understand? You might don't understand, but I'm shy when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I can understand. There's a lot of, I met a lot of people. I mean, I'm talking about leaders, people who manage people who like to operate behind their computer, and try to be sufficient with that. Well, efficient. Trying to manage, people, in an engagement. You have to engage people when you're trying to sell things nowadays. They want to meet you. They want to connect with you.
I know, but like when my son first passed away, it was hard. Like if anybody say, like if you see me and you say, oh, I'm so sorry about your son, I start crying. You understand what I'm saying? I just walk away. I couldn't hold the conversation. I couldn't because it always somebody saying something about my son, bringing like up the memories, and then I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take phone calls. I couldn't take nothing. And then when I wrote the book, my husband was like, well, you got to talk to people. why did you write a book? I said, wait, they could just read my story. He said, it don't work like that.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to go out and you got to talk and network.
So tell us, so was writing the book kind of comforting to you? You know what?
My first book wasn't, but when I wrote the book with Nicole, since she went through and she knew my pain and I felt her pain, she felt my pain since I knew what she went through as a mother because she went through the same thing I went through. Mm-hmm. This book was more comforting.
Wow.
This book, pulled me through because Nicole had to say, she was going something. She wrote a paragraph and she couldn't take it. She had to stop. We'd call each other and we'd talk about it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just, to me, it was this book. It wasn't even my first book. It was this book that did it.
Mm. Sometimes it takes a while. You think the first project's going to do it, but it's the second, it's the third. And who knows? I mean, are you going to keep writing on this subject, or are you going to start moving into some other genres? More.
I want to do different.
Genres.
I want to do different, but I'm writing a book now, and it's a fiction book. So I did 2 nonfictions already, but this I'm a little lost. So I'm having other authors lead me the way because I never, did this before. But I'm going to do it because I want to try. I just don't want to, write all nonfiction, even though it's good to write a nonfiction book because I love nonfiction. I love people telling their true stories.
Yeah, that's right.
But
that's right.
Sometimes you just want to look the left and then see what the left is curious about.
Yeah, you want to be kind of creative, right? You want to go on your creative side. Now, let's talk a little bit about your earlier life. Before you had your son, when you were, what kind of student were you in high school? Were you ever interested in writing, creative writing?
No, I never thought about writing until my son passed away. Never. Writing wasn't even in my mind. I never thought about writing. What made me think about writing this past high school, just when my son passed away, a nurse that used to take care of my son in the hospital, we was at the funeral. After the funeral, before this, I used to keep a journal, write down everything, if my son tore up that day, if my son, whatever happened to my son that day, I wrote it down. Whatever type of medicine they gave him, I wrote it down. I wrote everything down. And this nurse used to always come in the room, and she see that I'm writing in my book. She used to be like, what you doing, Sharnel, Miss Williams? I said, Shaquille got a headache today, or Shaquille doing this, so I'm writing it down. So once he passed away, and after the funeral, she said, Sharnel, he pulled me to the side. I was like, I might not ever see you again. I was like, why? I'm thinking something wrong with her now. But she said, that journal you kept in the hospital, turn it into a book. I said, turn it into a book. She said, Sharnel, you was doing a lot of writing. Turn that into a book, and I bet you can help others.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I did. I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to do this.
That was powerful.
So that's how I never thought about writing.
But what kind of student were you in high school?
I was a good student. When you're a teenager, you go through your little difficulty teenage years, but I was a good student. I don't recall ever getting suspended from school.
Right.
I don't recall getting suspended from school. I recall as in school, I don't want, if you got a young audience, don't do this. They're playing hooky a lot. I did. That's what you do that when you kids. Now, Jerry, I know you done played. You cut class a couple of times.
No, not me. I went to an engineering school for high school, and they were pretty strict.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You get that. They teach you that, that male bonding. So if you didn't show up to a class, your friends are like, well, Jerry was here. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he's in the restroom. So, there's no way, because you used to be, these guys are like your brothers, so we couldn't get away with that kind of stuff. My brother was there, my cousin, my sister was going to an all-girls school right across the street.
Wow.
Parents would know if I cut school. Yes, parents would definitely know if I cut school. And I loved school, everything we had done in there was so very interesting. It was,
but you
technology.
know what? I think everybody loves school to a certain amount. It depends on when you start meeting new people. The new people start putting stuff in your, you start being a follower, and they be like, you ain't never cut class before. Come on, let's go hang out at my house. My mother at work. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you be like, should I? It's always something in the back of your head saying, don't do it. But if you want to be cool with the people, you got to. I ain't saying you got to do it, but I did it.
Yeah, that wasn't a group that I hung with. They were, trying to get the good grades because they had parents that were, professionals, and grades were important at that chapter in our life. So when my mom was actually an educator, she was a teacher. My dad was a manager. So it was very important for them, especially that hard-earned money. They want to make sure they was in. It's like an investment now when you put into your kids to go to school.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they ready. So, I wanted to go to school for broadcasting, and they said, well, where is this school? And I said, well, it's in D.C. They said, no, you have to stay in the Baltimore area. So I was kind of limited to community college in the beginning, and I did my 2 years, and then they said, okay, look, you did well, and what's next? And I said, well, I'm going to go work for the government, So that was kind of like my journey, was
yeah.
So, I couldn't do those things. Now, in the neighborhood is a little different, because, during the summer you got a little bit more free time to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah. But it was all right. I enjoyed my high school years. I really, even though I did cut it, I never stayed back. I never repeated a grade.
Yeah.
And that was the good thing. And my mother then never knew I was playing hooky because she was always at work. So she never knew I wasn't going to school, because if you miss a certain amount of days, that's when the teacher contacts you.
That's right.
Contact your folks. So I knew not to miss so many days that they'll contact my mom.
Well, Sharnel, a little different now. They'll contact your home and leave a voicemail if you miss one day.
Everything's different now, but back in them days, they were in contact. And the only thing we used to have to worry about, I doubt if they still got them now. Remember what you call them, the truancy officers? Yeah. We used to be high in front of them if we walking down the street.
Yeah, their job was to find you.
Yeah.
I guess they get a lead from the school to go look for these guys. Because I guess the teachers probably would leave word at the house, that you didn't show up for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to send these guys out looking for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those days, man, I'm telling you.
Uh-huh.
But I remember some kids doing that kind of stuff in middle school. But I know, I had a pretty good distance to travel to middle school, so I wasn't going all the way over that side of town to hang in the street. It was safer to be in school. Yes. But so far your journey hasn't been the one that you thought was going to be part of your life. Now your husband very supportive with your writing.
Yes, he's supportive. He we have our up and down. He's supported, but far as going places and networking, he don't think I should spend a lot of money. Say if I want to travel to Atlanta, because they having a book festival. Because I guess he think I get hurt if I don't sell enough. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
I look at it as he's looking out for my best interest, because I probably will be disappointed. I spent all this money going here and I only sold 3 books. I probably will be disappointed. So I think he got the heart in the right place.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you this, Sharnel. Now, how much do you know about marketing these days? Because it seems like nowadays people really have to really focus on their marketing, even if they're going into a area like a trade show or book show. It's almost like you have to do so much marketing in that area so they know you're coming, and then you're going to sell more than 3 books. Is that something you ever thought about before?
No, not really. I thought about marketing, but it wasn't heavy on my mind.
Yeah, and that's something that's real important. My family actually was involved with publishing for a very long time. We actually started our training with a medical and science journal publisher in the Baltimore area. But you get a chance to meet the salespeople, and you get a chance. These guys are always going. Where you going, man? I'm going to New York. Got to market this book, or I got to meet with a client or whatever. To to market these magazines. So it's almost like before you launch anything, you kind of got to know who you're dealing with. So, like, for example, if you go into Atlanta and say you're on Facebook and you find out there's a book club that's in Atlanta, and you make contact with the president, and, you find out they have, like, so many members, and you say, hey, look, I'm going to be in Atlanta at the trade show. You guys planning to attend? And they say, yeah. We say, well, I'd like to, welcome you to come by my thing. I'm going to send you a copy of my book. Maybe your club would be interested in picking it up. If not, I'd still like you guys to come out and meet me, do a signing, whatever. So they kind of, you kind of know what's going on, and do this with several groups. So you're talking about you got a good 300 people because they didn't know about the festival in some cases. And now I know in Baltimore they have a huge festival that goes on downtown. And all of the mainstream publishers are there. A lot of the small bookstores. Well, it's not as many bookstores as there once were. But even now, people still are networking online, and then you know who to go down. And it's pretty much the same people all the time because some of the people release books almost every year, and they use that festival, even if they bring their old books, just to connect with their customers.
Yeah, network it.
So, yeah, there's a lot to learn about it. I mean, I'm not sure, if you thought about really studying marketing, because it sounds like this is something you're going to be doing for a long time.
I'm trying to.
I know you got your radio show, which helps with marketing, but like I said, if you go into a specific market, then that's when you got to start, I forgot what they call that marketing, but not direct marketing, but it's almost like a concentrated marketing effort that you're doing it's like a campaign. Because in other words, so you won't go to that town and be disappointed, and your husband's waiting for you to come back home. And how many books you sell, honey? And how much was that flight and that lodging and food? And you're like, and then he didn't even break even. But the good thing is too, I mean, how involved are you with your tax accountant? You're talking about this is a business. You're talking about that was a loss. So you're talking about, you invested so much money. Yeah, you write it off as a loss. Yeah, so I mean, so you're kind of going to win in a way. It depends on how good your accountant, is. So I wouldn't be that disappointed. The travel, you get to write the travel, and just think a lot of business men and women do it all the time. They
and I look at it. I look at this as I've never been to Atlanta. Especially if you've never been to them places. Yeah. And plus, the good thing is network it. Like I went to a book fair. I'm in Pennsylvania, and I went to a book fair in Pennsylvania, and I networked with so many authors did. Like, a couple of them was on my show already. You understand what I'm saying? They done gave away free books. I had a book giveaway for Christmas for authors to donate books to me for my show so I can give to the callers. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like, and I told my husband, it is good, you could make a couple of dollars off it, but the good thing is you network it. You meeting people because it's all about word of mouth. You meet this lady, she telling the next lady about y'all conversation or about read Sharnel book. You understand what I'm saying? It's all about word of mouth. Word of mouth.
And so far, I mean, I think, you and Nicole got something special going on, and the way she network. I mean, she's, really good friends with, Renee out Arkansas, and, as she gets more and more deep into what she's doing, next thing you know, you guys are having your own book conference somewhere. I know Nicole's talking about.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. We're trying to do that.
Yeah, trying to bring something here to Baltimore. I'd love to be part of that, too, because I love that. That genre. I mean, just the whole literary community to me has always. I remember when I was a young kid, my friends and I had gotten together. We were all artists. We could sketch real well, and we actually had our own comic book company.
Oh wow!
And everybody had their own logo and their name, and we came up with our own characters and wrote our stories. And at the end of every evening, we would come together and share our comic books. And we were, my dad used to keep a lot of paper, because he was in the printing business, with this publishing company. So we would, share the paper with the kids, the guys, and we'd staple, and we had colored pencils. Because my mom was, really good with projects, so we always had colored pencils. And we used to have a ball, and we did that all through the summer. And I wish I could find that box. So I know it's in a box somewhere in her garage, because she moved before I was able to get all my stuff together when she relocated, her and my dad. And I said, man, if I could locate one thing, I would love to be able to get my hands on that box of my comic books that I create. I like to share.
Well, they
it with
say
anything
is possible.
Yeah, but guess what though? Later on, like once we got older, around when my brother and I was both working for the medical publisher, and I was learning how to do graphic design, design book covers with the computer, because that's when computers didn't really start getting really powerful until around the early, I guess the late 80s, when Macintosh was making this move, but the monitors weren't very big at the time, and PCs had the nice size monitors, but they didn't have no power to run any of the programs. So when I ended up working for this publishing company, they were investing money in the Macintosh, and they could afford to get the big screens and everything. So and then get courses, take courses on computer design. But I thought that was just a fascinating time, because he was watching Windows grow into the empire it is today. Yes. And then we're able to sit home and design. I mean, I remember we had to use special software to paginate these books that we have today. Now you could do it in the comfort of your own home.
Right.
And the e-books. I'm sure you guys are using e-books, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can wake up the next day and you see the money been deposited in your bank account. Sold a couple hundred books, right? Wouldn't that be nice?
That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, a couple hundred downloads. That is the technology. It's just a matter of. Now, one of the things I was reading, you may be able to help me out with this. I never got a chance to really research the ebook community. Dealing with Amazon and whoever's hosting, or I guess how the ebooks work. There's a cost. It's a percentage deal going on. The middleman, the publisher, and the authors. So, are you using ebooks right now?
Well, like me and Nicole did this book on our own. My first book was through a publishing company. So they handled all that, but it was on ebook too. They handled everything. I didn't know nothing. I'm just learning now, since me and Nicole did our book together and we handling everything ourselves. So I'm just learning now about, ebooks, like how to do the ebook and how to do the percentage work with Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. Because I didn't know none of that, because I went through a publishing company at first. It's hard. Okay. It's hard. I'm trying to do everything myself, and it's really hard. Like I told Nicole last week, I think I'm going back to a publishing company because I'm not used to looking for a book designer, doing my book cover. I'm not used to all that, because the publishing company handled everything.
Yeah, that's what we used to do. That's what we used to do. We used to help poets. That's how we started out, helping a poet. I think do you guys know Katina?
Katina. No, she might be a Facebook friend, but I don't know her.
Yeah, I think Nicole knows her. We actually published her first poetry, but we were actually doing a magazine at the time on the Eastern Shore, and she's from the shore, and she was like, "You guys can do my poetry book," and she kept asking me, and then I finally gave in, and we started actually working for a lot of poets, ministers. You name it, people just coming out the woodwork because they needed somebody to, like what you said, to handle the artwork, bring in an artist, take their design to print, manage the copy editing part, the proofreading. My brother managed that side, and that's very important stuff, because you don't want to put out a bad book.
Yeah, editing and all that.
Yeah, how you going to?
I see a lot of authors now getting their own publishing company. And me and a friend today was talking about it, because she's a writer, too. She do poetry. And I was asking, like, so many authors getting publishing companies, but do they really know? Like, did they research it? You understand what I'm saying? How did they come up with a publishing company? Because you need editors, you need proofreaders, the book cover designers, you need all of that in running a publishing company.
And I think sometimes a lot of them, because they went through so much of it themselves, you're more like a consultant in a way. You're kind of using all of your people that you used on your project, and you say, okay, I'll let them help someone else. So it's almost like you get a middleman, a consultant, and basically that's what we did. The people come to us and we find out what they want, and with our connection, we were able to pull because we was working for a huge medical publisher. And we had access to a lot of different types of editors, content editors, proofreaders, revisers, you name it. And we were able to put a good team of people on a project and came up with a nice, clean book, which you can sit up on the shelf and people can flip through it as many times as they want and never find an error, and that's what you want. You want something like that, and because your reputation is going to be behind.
But let me tell you this. My show, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I had what's her name, author Sharnel Galloway on my show, and she brought up points because another author was like, if your book, if you don't have your book edited correctly, you shouldn't edit your book. And she made some type of statement. So I was like, I'm about to have a show about it because I disagree with the author because she was like, because I told her if somebody, a first-time author is so anxious, like I know I was anxious to get my book out there. You talk to any first-time author, they be so anxious. And for my editing for my first book, I left it up to the professionals because I was like, they professionals, they shouldn't be knowing what they're doing. I went through a publishing, my book still wasn't edited correctly. After all the money I done paid them, my book wasn't edited correctly. That's why I had the show because I appreciate the author saying that whoever book shouldn't get edited, is not edited, they shouldn't put it on Amazon, put their trash on Amazon.
That's right.
Then I had to respond back like, whoa, authors be anxious. Sometimes people don't be having the money, and what she said, you shouldn't put your book out there, publish your book if you don't have the money. I understand that. But Sharnel Galloway, she put her book out there, and her book had errors in it. That's why she came on my show, because she was a first-time author, and she was anxious. But guess what she did? She pulled all her books back from the sites, and she re-edited them now. She's going to re-edit the book.
Yeah.
But I'm told that was a good thing.
Yeah, you got to be careful because you got to think about like this, your reputation is out there. At least you're going to change your pen name a couple times, because I remember you guys out there on Facebook trying to decide on some pen names because you don't want people digging up your personal life. But, when you do, nonfiction, you pretty much use your real name,
Yeah, you use your real name because how they going to know who is, you can't use a pen name.
Right.
Like, my name's Sharnel Williams. What I'm going to use, Samantha, and saying my son passed away from leukemia at the age of 12? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to go there and talk to people who dealing with the same thing. You're not really being honest with them. But when you start writing fiction, then you can go ahead out there and say, I'm going to be a romance novel or urban street writer. You can make up a nice, nice brand name, and hit them like that. But who is the author? Like I had, what's her name? Oh, because she joined the conversation too. She had editor, Carla something. She came and joined our conversation, so I put her on the air, and she's an editor. But I was asking a question, how do you know who's a real editor and who's not? They don't get no degrees in editing. That's right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm serious.
Right?
You're laughing, but I'm serious. How do you know is such and such a real editor? Because she says she's a real editor, or because you go to Amazon and she got a couple of books up there say editor such and such thing?
Most of the time I find that the best way, how I used to get my editors were, most of the time they were referrals from someone else.
Other authors.
Or I got them out of a publishing house, because a lot of times those girls are always, not girls, these ladies and men are always looking for freelance work, and they do advertise, that they work for so-and-so, but they're available for freelance work, when they spare time, because that's all they do is they read. They're really good readers. And that was my brother. He would put in 8-10-hour days working for the publisher, and then he'd go home and put in a couple of hours working for his clients, and sometimes he'll have 2 projects on the table, not counting, our project, And he had the right, because he was also the editor-in-chief of the magazine. So a lot of those guys, they're good readers. That's all they do. But you do have to be careful.
You got to be careful, because just like I told everybody, I went through a publishing company, and my book still had editing problems.
So who did you go through? Was it a big publishing house, or was it a small?
What's the name? How do you say that? Start with X. Alibris.
They're not really a publishing house. They're actually more of a printer. They what you call like a vanity press. They not even really a vanity press. The vanity press actually will pay for maybe your printing and maybe ownership of part of your book. and then you invest the rest of it, which is like the idea and the marketing part. Those guys are just strictly an online printer. All they doing is taking your work. I mean, one time I remember they were so small, they only had a few templates you can choose for your book cover, and all they doing is popping your title in there. You'll see a whole bunch of books with the same photographs on there. So if you just supply your own artwork, you would be duplicating the same book cover.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, I wanted, like, my son loved the fishing. I was like, I want water on the front cover of the book. I loved the front cover of the book, but then when I checked, I was like, it ain't, like, formatted good. Like, the formatting in the book wasn't good. And then when I was reading along, it was, like, editing. I was like, now what? Then they wanted me to pay for it again.
Yeah, see, with them, you're actually paying for minor proofreading. Like, I have people who use them to print their books, because they like the price of the fact that you can have, you go in and can print like a few copies, even though it's going to cost you more money to do less copies than more. They would use them. Like I was using a printer, Whitehall printers, in Maryland. There's a lot of great printers in Maryland that I would use, but they wouldn't run a press run less than 500 books. And then I was using an on-demand printer. Are you familiar with Black Classic Press?
No, I'm familiar with what you call that other one. Is it Lighthouse
Lightning,
or something
like that? Yeah, Lightning Press.
Lightning Source or something like that.
Yeah, they're not bad. I use them too. But the company I was using that was in Baltimore, I would actually go to their place and, because I would do business for them too, take on other authors' work. But these guys had like an on-demand system, just like they had was a digital. It's like a photocopy machine, but it was digital, and you just load your disc, and it would just every book would look exactly the same. They make sure they got the measurements right so they can trim it down. But they do small runs. That's all they want to do is small runs. That's what you want. You want 10 books, 100. You print what you can sell. And that's what these guys specialize in, cause most of their
called
business
on-demand printer, on-demand something like that.
On-demand printing, because I know at the time Xerox had built the system. I forgot the name of that machine, but a lot of people were buying it. But like I said, it specialized in real high-end photocopying. That's really what it was. There was no ink. That was, like your traditional printers use those offset presses. But by the time they're ready to run your book, they already probably threw away 100 of them just trying to get it right the first time. Yeah.
Wow.
Saying, this is it. Let's run it. But then you're talking about they only want to do no less than 1,000 books. So you're paying for 1,000 books, which means can you sell 1,000 books? So if you say that's
and then the royalty, they wanted 80% of royalties.
So Xerox, they do that? Xerox?
80%. No, it's not Xerox. It's called what is it called? It's probably with an X.
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Ex Libris.
Libris.
Libris or something like that.
Libris, yeah. They I didn't know they were charged.
They wanted 80%. They charged me 80%. Yeah, I paid over $1,500 for this.
So they charge you to put your book up on their website and people can order it from them, right?
Yeah.
So when people order, they took a percentage. So
they took 80%. I'm telling you, 80%. I was only getting 20%.
So if your book was like $10, you just got $2.
Yeah, I'm telling you for real. That's. And then I started talking to the folks. He was like, "Girl, you need to leave that company alone because they making all the money and you did all that writing."
And one of the things I knew about them, and you know what else too was bad about them? I had a guy that had submitted all this work we gave him to them, and they won't if he got discovered by a publisher from New York, and then he went to contact that company to get his file because they had printed it, so they already had the the disc, and they wouldn't release it to him, so they had to contact us to try to get the file, and I was like, okay, I can send it to you, and he was mad because he thought that was his publisher, and they said no, they're not. They really like a printer, and he learned the hard way.
They sent me a contract to sign saying that I wanted to, be with their contract. I was breaking my contract and everything. I was like, I can't do this. I'm making more money than I'm making.
At least people understand, the mistakes that others make, be careful. So they still doing the same thing they've been doing for years because I think I gotten out of that since like '07, and I still hear, the horror stories with people. But sometimes that's all people can afford. They just want to see their work, see their story.
Well, I heard that it's cheaper doing it yourself.
Yeah, but the thing about when you do it yourself, you have to build that team. That team that they have in place, like Lightning. Like one thing I learned about a lot of those companies, they don't have like desktop publishers like really working there. These people are like freelance workers for them. So it's like they already putting the money out for this guy to design your book. So he figure if he can sell, if you can move 100 books off his website, you kind of can pay for some of it. Like $1,500. He probably paid some young kid, 17, 18 to do a quick design on your book, gave him $50. Because I remember I used to be able to hire artists out of art schools like really dirt cheap. And I would just do the computer work. They would do the whether it was oil painting or whatever color paint or freehand color pencils. They would do extraordinary work for $50 to $75, and then because most of your money is going to be going to the editor who's trying to help you with the content to make sure your story's making sense, and then the rest of the money going to the proofreaders because they actually sometimes they charge you by the pages. They don't charge you by hours.
My book still wasn't edited, and I'm thinking because I went through that publishing company that it was going to be good. It was going to be perfect. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. They're not really a publishing company. They just a printer. They offering you and really if you look at the fine print, I think they said they offering minor editing. So if you got a lot of mistakes, you shouldn't even really be sending a book to a printer if it got a bunch of mistakes in it. They shouldn't even really. They should get it.
No, because I asked them about the edit. I was like, my book going to need to be edited. They was like, yeah, it's included in the price. Editing is included.
They wanted the business, and they didn't even really put it in there. And that's the thing I'm saying. How are you going to give somebody a quote if you haven't even seen the manuscript yet? Because I've seen some work that was off. I was like, wow, look all of them. The quotes, the quotation marks are in the wrong position, in the sentences and commas and periods. And
but that's when you get the editor, and that's when they're supposed to come in and correct all that.
Right, but I'm saying, I'm talking about you talking about hundreds of pages. You're going to have to hire a professional to sit down and spend 30 days on that book.
Well, it ain't going to be no 30 days.
Yeah, because they got to go in and
it ain't going to be no 30 days.
Well, most of the people I was using, they were always working on, various other projects, so it's like that was like a side job for them. So I say, look, this is really bad. Take your time, and then when you finish, I got somebody else who's going to look at it behind you. And then I send it back to them again so they can read it again, And then, like I said, some people had to do rewrites. If it's a rewrite, you got to give the editor some time because they got to go through it and rewrite and make sure the sentences, the story is still flowing while they're trying to correct your grammar and your content. You talking about this character, and it's like, okay, I thought you said he died in this. Oh no, it's like a dream, but you didn't say that. You know what I'm saying? So you need a content editor, because they missing stuff now. It's like in their mind, they think they told the audience that this is a dream, but you never said it. You just went and threw the character out there. So that's a whole lot to it, That's a whole lot to that industry.
But you learn through your mistakes. You take the good with the bad.
The thing about this too, Sharnel, you guys write extraordinary. You come up with creative ideas, but at the bottom line, a lot of times the people who are really going to give you the real, professional quality service, they don't really get paid for what they're worth. They really don't. It's like, well, what price can you really put on a person who's going to take, like you do have some writers out there have great ideas, but they really don't have creative writing skills. But now you got to hire somebody to kind of almost be a ghostwriter. Are you really going to pay them for their time that they spend on your project? And then you're going to say, well, I can't afford that. Well, it's like, and then you're never going to make the money back unless you sell 5,000 books.
Yeah.
So it's a tough industry. It's really.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. So.
Yeah.
You just got to keep on moving forward.
Yeah, so you got to watch out for them online sharks, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of them, too. There's a lot of them.
Yep, and then just imagine this, if Amazon and Barnes & Noble, their websites are being bombarded with e-books that are so badly written, and you know, that's the worst thing. You're trying to read a story, and oh my God, they got periods missing. There should have been a comma here. You know, what happened? Why they didn't why the capital T is not there, you know? Then misspell names and misspell words. It's like, wow, didn't they do a spell? It's like it drives the reader crazy. You know, you have two different type of readers. You got one that reads just to enjoy, and you have one that's like a critical reader. You know, they really
look for all your mistakes.
Yeah, they reviewing the book when they read it. They actually, because I know that's a lot of times. You know, I can't turn it off. As being a desktop publisher, you know, I'm used to doing the corrections for the proofreaders, and I'm like, wow, it's going to take me hours just to do these few pages. You know?
Wow.
He's like, wow. So I learned in the beginning, when I took a manuscript from an author, I sent it to my brother and said, how long do you think it's going to take to get through this book? He said, man, they got about 30 errors on one page. And just imagine you on a computer trying to put in commas, periods, misspelled words, capital. This should have been capitalized, or quotation. You'd be forever trying to doing corrections, electronic corrections. And that person just paid you $500. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How some of these companies make money charging people $500 to publish their books and they've been unedited.
More than $500, because I paid $1,500 or some change for mine.
Some of them start off at $500. I heard.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
but I wanted to make sure I had an editor. I wanted to make sure everything was, right.
Yeah, that's right.
And so that was a waste of.
But don't you remember somebody said it takes years, you know, because you figure, because I remember we was helping one of Nicole's friends out, and I remember her editor was working with her for a very long time before I saw that. I actually had forgotten about it one time. I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember you now. You know, it was like maybe a year and a half later, you know, these people come right back, because I don't take no money from nobody until they're finished working with the editor.
Yeah,
and then when they come back,
stuff.
Yeah, I've been forgot their name and everything. It's like, oh, okay, I think I remember meeting you and your husband or whatever, and you know, so they had to go into production, you know, with the manuscript. You know, so it's a pretty interesting, expensive industry.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning. This going to be my first book. Nicole handled everything with this Mother's Worst Nightmare. But this is going to be my first book. I'm really doing everything myself. Nicole wanted to help me out because she know I don't know what I'm doing. But this is going to be my first time. And I told Nicole, I was like, I think I want to go back to a publishing company. It's too much. Then I'm working 10 hours. It's crazy. It's too much. It's hectic. It is.
Now it's becoming like a hobby and a small business all in one. The fun part is it's no more fun until the fun part won't be until after your book comes off the press and you're having a book signing party. And everybody that read your manuscript said, "Oh, I couldn't find no mistakes, girl. I give you the stamp of approval."
But you know what I was talking to, like how I was telling you about the author, was like we was talking like ain't no perfect book out here. Name one person who has a perfect book. No mistakes, no nothing.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's not no perfect book.
Even
I went to my aunt's house. She showed me by, like I ain't saying real authors because I consider myself a real author, but famous authors has mistakes in their books.
Yeah, right. You're going to find some, because that's one of those industries where, 100% is kind of
ain't no 100%.
Yeah, it's kind of
ain't no 100%. Ain't no 100%.
You can find them come really, really close to magazines. That's why I love magazines. You can really read a magazine and really enjoy it without finding a mistake. And I've read some really good management books where I have seen no mistakes. Now, it could have been some mistakes that another, like a person who's an English professor may find, that it could have been written this way, but do people really talk like that? But see, that's the thing they got to think about. Not everybody, you're talking about plain language right now. That's the new thing that the government is trying to sell to their policy writers. We have to write everything in plain language, because now, not everybody who's reading this is a scholar, or had a 4.0 in college, and they talk that way,
Yeah.
So you got to fix it up for them, But I think, I think you guys are doing a fantastic thing,
Thank you.
Working with people who are going through the same pain and bringing comfort to them. And, I know support groups really, really do work. Even when it comes to people who have addiction issues, just getting it out and just putting it on the surface is the first step, And I think I commend you guys for, showing that bravery. And keep working, keep your radio show going. You and Nicole, now you live in the Poconos. Do you guys have support groups that's going on there, or basically you just, reaching out to the internet mostly?
Yeah, I'm just reaching out to the internet, and I don't went to the libraries. I got my books in 2 of the libraries up here. Me and Nicole book and my first book. And then in Jersey, I got our book down in the Jersey library. So I've been trying to, just get our books out there. So, Arthur told me, did you try the library? I never thought about the library either.
Now, with the libraries, do you have to actually be approved by that director to have your e-books carried there also?
Yes, you got to be approved, because I had to bring my books, and then they'll get back in touch with you if you approve. If you want your book back, you can get your book back. If they don't approve it.
So for the e-books, would you give them like a thumb?
I gave them the paperback books.
Oh, they got paperbacks. Now, have you?
Yeah, I gave them. I ain't never asked them about no e-book. I gave them all paperback books so they can put on their shelves.
Now, are you selling your books to them, or?
No, I didn't. I donated my book to them. They call it she said I could sell it to them, but I was like, just no. And then now that I checked last week, all 3 of the libraries, somebody got my book reading it somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're not on the library show. She was like, they checked out. The other libraries say they checked out. So I told, this is a good thing to me. Somebody reading my story.
Yeah. You have to get some more. And that's I heard quite a few. Well, when I was doing my show, I remember I had an author that would just sell her books to the library system. She had a pretty nice database, and she would contact the various libraries across the country and sell them about 3 books each. And some of them are in districts, so they would buy several copies. So they have budgets for those kind of things,
Yeah, they'll buy the book, because she was like, you want us to pay for them, or you want to donate? I said, I donate it, because I'm trying to get my story out there. I just,
they got a lot of challenges right now where they're trying to keep their their services and everything interesting, so they want to have authors come in, and sometimes it's hard for them to get the mainstream authors. So sometimes it's fun for people to meet someone like you and Nicole to have a great story to tell, because everybody likes to hear a story and how a person is coming out on the positive end of the story. So I know right now, it's hard to say that you're really living your dream right now, because because it was pain that you went through. This journey, we never know where God has taken us, But I really appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're going to still have to get you and Nicole together and talk about, the publishing industry, because one of the most interesting things, and I think we could talk about it forever, is just the good and the bad that come with all of this, and people just and people still learning.
Right.
Still learning.
Everybody, even writers that been 15 years in the business, is still learning. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I say everybody's still learning, not just the new authors.
Yeah, and it's funny. The day I was on my family's website. We still publish a website that carried authors that I used to have on my show when I used to do a podcast back in 2007 called the Rock News Magazine. And I was looking up this one author, because she was one of the most successful authors I had on my show. Her name was L.A. Banks. And I looked her up today and found out she passed in 2011.
Wow.
She wrote a lot of books. She was writing like the Vampire Diaries before it even became popular on TV, because she wrote the before and after, the before and the beginning and something of Scarface. She was supposed to be working with those guys for the Scarface story before Scarface became Scarface. And I was like, wow, I'm going to have to follow her. And here it is, 2014. I look up and she passed in August. I think August 3rd, 2011. Just left her daughter and I think her ex-husband. And she wrote so many books. That lady was a writer and died at the age of 51. Yep. Cancer. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. She was brilliant. So you may want to look her up. Her work is still alive, though. She left a memory. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and close this show. Is there anything you'd like to share? A few seconds we got left because I always try to make sure with our Google shows on YouTube don't go past an hour.
Yes, I just want to give out my book information and my contact information.
Sure, go ahead.
For those who want to contact me, my name is Arthur Sharnel. You can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/SharnelW, on Twitter at Arthur Sharnel. My Blog Talk Radio show, www.blogtalkradio.com/Arthur Sharnel. My website, whatdoamotherdo.com. And you can purchase the book on Amazon. It's called A Mother's Worth Nightmare. Read Our Story, Share Our Angels.
That's right. Amen. And one thing I learned, I was reading a website today on forget the woman's expertise. She was a technician online, and she said now people don't say www, they say dub. I didn't know that one. I did not know it. So now I can just say, okay, everybody, thanks for coming out. Don't forget about uncoveringnmrright.com, separated by hyphens, where we talk about relationships. People share their love story, and we're going to have you on Sharnel, to talk about you and your husband relationship. Definitely.
Oh, okay, that'll be great.
We're going to do that in 2 weeks. Before the weather. But I know it's hard to catch up with people when the weather warm up. We're trying to get everybody we can before March is up.
Yeah.
All right, because I know I'll probably be on the road myself doing some festivals and talking to people out and about and see what's going on the Positive Power Network. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. It was great having Sharnel on, and we wish her the best, and we will have her back again, and also her partner in crime, Nicole Martin. So everybody take care, and we see you again, and don't forget to visit our website because everything is on YouTube, so please subscribe. I'm Jerry Royce, and when it's all positive, it's all power. Positive Power 21. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Positive Power 21 Network. Team 21 would like to thank you all for tuning in, and please spread the word and tell a friend. This is Jerry Royce at Positive Power 21, where we get our positive on.